That one was the last week.
Yeah, we are recording now.
Okay, I called to order the meeting at 4:30. Welcome, Sabrina.
Thank you very much. This is the Student Senate General Assembly meeting of Thursday, March 28th, 2024. Been called to order at 4:31, now beginning the roll call, starting with Executive Council, President Giovanni Michelle.
President.
Thank you. There I am, President, Vice President of Legislative Affairs, Maggie Ju, you here?
I think we're excused.
I think.
Yeah, I had her pre-excused in the office hours, but if she was here, I just wanted to. Okay, cool. Yep, I have her, already have her down as excused in the office hours. Vice President Team Development, Annette Crowder.
Present.
Thank you. Vice President Public Relations, Michael Mullen.
Present.
Thank you. Advisor Sean Green.
Present.
Thank you. On to
Oh my God.
Truex candidates. Who's that? Who's that?
I think that was maybe a slip up.
Maybe Senator Flo potentially.
Okay, well, Senator Angel Avila. Is that Angel? I can't tell.
Angel is here, but I don't know if they.
Someone, yeah, that's Angel. Okay, my screen doesn't pop up, who is saying it, but Senator Sierra Brunner.
Here.
Thank you. Senator T Clearwater.
Present.
Thank you. Senator Kodiak Kessel. Uh-oh, late, Mr. Kessel. Senator Danny Hurd. Danny, I think you're there,
I'm
no?
present, but,
That meant. I'm just joking around.
Okay, I got you, man. No worries.
yeah, I'm on the, road, but my, internet keeps,
Be safe.
cutting in and out.
No worries. I have definitely been there before, so no worries.
So I heard we can understand if you want to reconnect when you,
Yeah,
you
take your time.
Yeah.
Senator Kennedy Washington.
She was tried talking to me earlier this week.
Okay, we'll put late for now. Senator Cameron Wilkin. Cam, I
Present.
know you're there. Okay, perfect. Senator Katrina Willis. Katrina here? No, we'll put late for now. Reedsburg Senator Stacy Brunner.
Here.
Thank you. We do have quorum.
Okay, thank you. Approval of the previous meeting minutes.
This would be the time where you guys will do the previous minutes and obviously.
Where are our guests?
One of them is online right now. That's great. Not sure.
Okay.
Move along.
I move to approve the previous meeting minutes.
I'm just clarifying, you being specific to
Which one?
previous?
No, the
He means 3-7, so I think it's gonna clarify.
Yeah.
No, it's gonna clarify.
previous
There are
meeting minutes
no,
from 3-7.
yep, there are no meeting minutes from 3:21, so,
The second,
yes, second.
any discussion? Everybody was in favor of approving the previous meeting adjourned.
2, 3,
One hand online so far. 3 hands now.
3 plus, well, someone removed it. Angel, put that hand back up.
Yeah, that was 6.
Only if you want.
Now it's 7 technically.
Now it's 7? Okay.
7 and 8, I guess, with 1 of 6, yeah.
Okay, that's majority. Perfect.
Thank you. Anybody against? Did you vote? Everyone?
No, I'm staying.
Senator Clearwater abstain. Reading and approval of the meeting agenda. Is there a motion?
Yep, I'll motion to approve the agenda.
Is there a second? Malone,
I will second that motion.
motion by VP Brito, second by Malone. Any discussion? Everybody was in favor of approving today's meeting agenda adjourned.
2 hands up so far online.
Abstain.
3 hands up, 4 hands up.
That's 6 total. We just need a 7.
Yeah.
Isn't it 7 with the Brenners?
Oh, I can't see the Brenners around.
That would be 2.
Okay.
I think we move, public comment.
Oh, so there's a question.
What is the question?
Cameron.
See,
Yeah, so in team development meeting yesterday, we talked about adding something to the agenda, but I don't see it on there. Is that just off the table?
Can I comment?
Sure. Sorry, that's not me to say.
Cameron, if you want to make oh my God, I can talk, can't tell.
Motion to amend.
A motion to amend, that would be
you
appreciated.
know that we were, I,
But we already
did.
approved you guys know. like-
His question didn't get through before technically, so you could choose to do it if you wanted to.
Yeah, well, we already.
We'll talk about it in two.
I mean, I assume that you're talking about the training thing. Is that what you're referencing? Like,
We'll talk about it in team development.
Okay, public comment. We have Dan Erickson, Associate Manager in Financial Aid and Veteran Benefit for 30 minutes.
Oh, Dan's going first.
so,
Dan is there.
Yeah, I see.
oh,
Hi, folks. So I definitely will not need a full 30 minutes. So just kind of, probably in and out in a quick 15 here. So just Senator Clearwater had discussed some ideas regarding some bookstore funding issues that come with the art department. Does that sound familiar to all y'all?
Yes, they're aware of the resolution and it's on the table.
Okay. Yeah, so basically I just wanted to throw in some of my 2 cents there. A couple things that you will hear from some of the administration and possibly from the bookstore too is you'll want to figure out how many students have been affected by this, probably over the past 4 to 5 academic years. So you can get pre and post COVID. So you'll probably want to talk with the art department about that. From a financial aid standpoint, it is okay to do. The only issue you might run into is that some students will not have enough of a refund to have a full, like $300 or something like that pre-put on a card for the external organization that you're using. So you might run into some issues with that. Otherwise, it sounds solid enough. So from a regulatory standpoint, it should be good to go. And then there is a new version of the FAFSA, so the free application for federal student aid for the 2024-2025 academic year, so starting in the fall. We've been doing some student reach out. You might just want to do some to encourage students to complete their federal student aid ID about 3 business days before they would do their FAFSAs. That way they can get everything done electronically and get it done pretty much right away. Other than that, really not too much that I have to say out loud. I am definitely available for some questions, though.
And Senator Aaron, you have your hand raised. Senator Aaron,
Wow, looking fancy.
you have your hand raised.
no.
I don't know.
Okay. Bring it up.
Yeah, I guess my question is, can you send us that information on the FAFSA? Because I mean, it's like one thing to tell us, but if we don't, I actually don't know how it works myself, so
Yeah.
I need to educate myself first before I can educate others. So yeah, that would help me. So if you just send it to Sean, he can send it to all of us, because I think you have his email, right?
Yeah, I've got Sean's email. Let me just write myself a note.
Yeah, that'd be good, because then we can help spread the word, and maybe we can write an article or something like that in the Clarion. Or get someone else to do it, 'cause I don't know if I have time for that, but so that's one. The other question is that it sounds like you've kind of, like, your office has kind of already worked on this. So my understanding is that it's shifting art supplies to count as like program materials so that your financial aid can be used on it. And is that correct? My understanding of it?
Yes. And if those supplies had been available in the bookstore, they would have already been covered as like class supplies, because the bookstore funding can be used for any class materials.
Gotcha.
Because they're not available in the bookstore, that's what would have created some issues, and students either would have had to wait for their refund to go buy it from the external organization, or there would have to be some kind of partnership created. Some schools just have stuff brought in. This we could definitely do with the external organization, but it would just have to be something where that store would have to sign some agreements with us. So that all would be decided above me. But just from like a regulatory standpoint, I do not see any issues with it.
Okay, so we potentially could do it. We just aren't at this point yet where we've made that partnership. But this is how we get there. That's kind of what this is, right?
Correct.
Okay, perfect.
That would all be made by people with much longer titles than I have.
I appreciate you being here either way. So thank you.
Thank you.
I will echo that, thank you.
That's a
Yeah.
good of Andrew.
I'm psyched that that you see no regulatory issue, and kind of lead to VP Brito's point. Yeah, it seems like there's already stuff in the motion here. I guess if it is okay and there's not an issue, I guess my question is just to kind of land on who's gonna be the one to take care of, like, managing the gift cards that can be filled up? Like, is that the bookstore that's gonna be doing it, or is that the financial aid department that's gonna be doing that? And then past that, what, like, sort of, is there anything that, like connections that you need to be making with the bookstore, if that was the case? Like connecting with Holly, or, I guess that's my first part. My other part is that money, if I'm understanding correctly though, if you said that they may run into issues, like say they get a specific amount of money awarded to them to use on supplies. If I'm understanding where I thought I heard, like, potentially they might not get all of it if they were to do it in this way. Is that, or can you alliterate? Cause like, that's worrisome time, but it's not you guys that's doing that, obviously, just like, you know.
Yeah, so basically what it is that as it is put into our policy right now, students get offered their financial aid, so their grants, loans, what have you. And we factor in automatically what are their direct costs, so what are their tuitions, their direct fees, from whatever their initial aid offer looks like. After that's subtracted out, they have what's left over would be their refund, but up to $800 of that refund can be used in the bookstore to directly purchase class materials. Now, depending on a student's enrollment level, depending on their need level, and then also depending on what their classes cost, they may not have that full $800, just based on how their aid is put together. So at that point, say instead of $800, they have $250, and their art supplies cost $300. I'm just throwing numbers out here. So they would have to front somehow that other $50 out of pocket or through some other means. Logistically, the only issue I see is that we would just have to have something set up where the bookstore is able to create, say, like a gift card or something to this company, and they purchase some kind of gift card from the bookstore or some kind of voucher from the bookstore, so we can subtract it from that bookstore fund amount. So say they would get $120 in a gift card to the store, the external store. So say they had $500 to begin with in bookstore fees. Part of their bookstore purchase would be $120, so that would bring them down to, if my math is correct, $380 that they could still use at our bookstore, counting the $120 in the gift card that they would have for the external. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, honestly, now, then, yeah, I guess, why hasn't it happened yet? I mean, or, like, what's the holdup here? I mean, and I'm not putting that on you, I'm just, it's just like, it's an opportunity if it's not an issue, and like, I know that the financial aid department takes this stuff very seriously because of things like regulations, government, state, like, you know, like, if it's not an issue, there's a potential for this specific, degree program of students to be able to find a solution to an issue, and I just don't understand why, who's average, I mean, we could have, I'm saying we, but like, Senate can obviously say something in support of it, right? But like, the college has to make some moves on doing something for the students.
Yeah, and I mean, so I was not aware that this was an issue until it was brought to me. And oftentimes, depending on the school, and I don't know exactly our relationship with our bookstore, but the bookstore may be technically like a separate entity that like rents out space in the actual building and has an agreement with the school. If that's the case, which I think it probably is, we would have to navigate around some of that, but also, in order to make any kind of external partnership, it would take agreements from, like I said, higher college leadership. So that's first you have to distinguish it. It is an issue, and that's why I'm suggesting to get some actual, like some pretty hard data of how many students are enrolled in these art courses. Because if it's a large enough number, then higher college administration is going to be more likely to enact some kind of partnership. If we're only talking about, maybe 20 students a year, they're probably not going to look into that. And unfortunately, that's just the reality of kind of how some of these decisions have to be weighed.
Big questions?
So my question was basically surrounding getting the data. Do you suggest we go to like Zong or someone like that for that data? Or who's the best person for us to talk to? And also keep in mind that there's the FERPA laws. How will that affect us as students, even though we're student senate gathering the data? That was my one worry.
Yeah, so you could definitely go to Zong or go through institutional research and just ask for the number of students enrolled in those courses. So what would probably happen is their data would probably spit out the student ID number and then the course they're enrolled in. What Zong and her team could do would be to take off the ID numbers so you don't know who's in it, but you could just get the number of students enrolled. So that wouldn't be any kind of FERPA violation because you're not giving private information with it. You're just giving more of a census than anything else.
Bruno?
I guess my question is that, even if this didn't affect many students, the fact that it affects students, shouldn't that be enough of an issue? Like, does there need to be like huge momentum to fix an error in the system? Do you know what I mean? Like, I get that like having it affect more students makes it a huger priority, but it makes it sound like if there isn't enough, like if we don't have this data to back it up or anything like that, on like who it's affecting, they're not going to change it. But it's clearly an issue either way, no?
It is an issue and it is an inconvenience. And I'm not saying that, people wouldn't support it either way. In my experience dealing with higher level leadership, and this is just coming from my best advice to get this going because I think it's a really good idea. They are going to look at if they're committing time and resources to creating this kind of partnership, because there is going to be some kind of legal aspect to this as well in a contract between us and this external company. We want to make sure that that time is well spent as well, and those resources are well spent, because there were also, in addition to that, be issues of like troubleshooting. How do we figure out logistically, making a purchase from our bookstore to a gift card to this other store to be used there, and how do we make sure that we're logging it all correctly? So it's going to be a lot of steps on the back end that are definitely doable and definitely able to be figured out, but it's how much is the upper administration going to say we are going to kind of support the resources, like, and give the resources to support this project at this time.
Okay.
If you corner.
Do you know if there are other programs that are affected in this way? Do we need to look at this on a larger scale so that there's more numbers to make it go through easier? Or do you think program by program, like if we started it, maybe we could throw some suggestions on there of other programs that might need the same thing?
I don't know of any in particular, but I will say, just in previous experience, a lot of your vocational programs, so like a lot of times anything with like auto tech has like tools. I know cosmetology would have their own toolkits as well. Nursing or health sciences may have different materials and such that they need to buy special. And I don't know if our bookstore would have that or not. So that would be a conversation I would have with the actual bookstore folks to see what they have to support, the vocational and health sciences departments.
Senator Aaron, and then after that.
What would be like a realistic time frame for students interested in this to, I guess, have it enacted or have this actually take place?
The most realistic would probably be starting in the fall of 2025. I'm guessing if we would get the ball rolling now, maybe we could do spring of 25, but it would definitely probably not be enacted by this upcoming fall.
Senator Clearwater, you have a question?
Yeah, I want to know if there was a particular points in the higher ups that you think might end up making that process a little bit longer.
Not necessarily. I do know the school is devoting a lot of resources right now to some large software changes that are happening over the next couple of years. I don't think that should affect anybody at this level though. So I don't see it taking that long. But just in higher education, things tend to move a little bit slower. So that's why I'm trying to just kind of set that expectation. Fall 25 is probably your best bet.
Advisor Green?
Kind of to VP Carter, and then like to everybody else, like I have that good relationship with Holly in the bookstore. I can get a meetings set up and scheduled, and she can answer all of the questions in terms of the other programs. Because I do know when you mentioned Artech, Dan, when I did do my internship in the bookstore, I do know that was a course materials with Artech. Was one of the ones that popped up. So did the nursing stuff, because they've got a lot of specific stuff they have to use. And sometimes those things are not actually available in the bookstore. And so I already gave the information to VP Brito about it with Holly. But I'm thinking like now hearing this, I think let's get. I mean, realistically, yes, it's going to take a little bit, right? But like, at least if you guys can get some information now from maybe Holly, that helps to like then while you guys are also looking at getting information from like IRE, from like specifically about all the students affected, and at least it could leave something for the next Senate term to have to be able to pick up and continue working with, So if you're interested, yeah, let's make that happen.
Any other question?
Not this time.
Any other question? Okay,
That was almost 20 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Dan Erickson, do you have any last word you wanna say?
I just that, with a lot of these changes, it does take time. And I think a lot of these bigger changes that you're enacting, you might not see the direct effect of it, but students down the line will. So please don't let that discourage all y'all. And it's unfortunately just sometimes the way that works. But other than that, I will get this stuff to Sean with the FAFSA probably tomorrow. Other than that, enjoy the rest of your meeting and the rest of your Thursday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, folks.
Dr. Dagmar Grady,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
review of college culture and climate. I think she declined the invitation and then she forwarded, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
I have not heard a word about for sure.
Report from officer advising and setting committee, executive council president report. We didn't have an executive council meeting
Yeah, Morgan.
because we didn't, we were focusing on the town hall. It was a great turnout, so people coming, so people singing, no. But other than that, that concludes my report. Administration and Finance Committee, the Brito.
Hello, this week we were working on approving some budget and travel requests. We have only about $3,000-ish left in the ELT Club funding guide, so keep that in mind for people that are looking to make requests, because there are a few people that are trying to make use of the rest of the funds. And talk to Grace, he's not really comfortable asking for more, because he doesn't really feel like, with the fiscal responsibility of this year, until we get those funds, it wouldn't really be good to ask for more on top of it, because we already did ask for an additional $10,000. So I don't quite agree with him, but I'm also not going to overstep him. So because I don't think it makes sense to do it without support from ELT. So, but I also trust Grace. So if Grace feels that way, then I'm not going to, do anything about it. So it would be nice, but I get Grace's point and I'll respect his decision. But otherwise, yeah, we're just making decisions about how to approve the remaining funds, and also some of those national trips are starting to come up. So we will be making those requests pretty soon, or we'll be approving more of those requests pretty soon. And I just want to say that, a couple of the other big trips, we might actually have more than the amount that I just listed, because some of those trips are still getting some of their receipts to us. And more often than not, they've either been exactly the amount that they've projected or less. So the amount that we're saying 3,000 could turn into like maybe 5,000, depending on how, responsible people were and how detailed they were about keeping their receipts. Because if we can't approve it without the receipts, because that's just the policy that we have, because we need to make sure that all of our funding is being spent, because when we get audited, that's going to happen. So that's why we need receipts, not just to be meticulous accountants, although I am one. Also to, that's how the expenses are able to be documented and tracked for when the auditors come our way for student activity fees, because they do every year. So that's how it works. That concludes my report. Are there any questions? No questions. I'm seeing none online. Okay.
Thank you. This is the Metro Committee with the Joe, excuse, Team Development Committee with the Porter.
So team development, we have a survey for you guys to do, but I can't figure out something with the survey, and yeah. Basically, we are looking at doing a dinner at the end of April, and we wanted to find out if people wanted to pick one, do hot pot, Kidogo, hibachi, or Cracker Barrel were the 4 items we came up with. The other question we had for the crew was whether or not we should pursue doing the challenge course if we had enough people interested to do it. And then we needed to check with Advisor Green to see what our financial situation looked like. And Kai, I was about to ask you a question, but I didn't get a chance.
Oh, okay.
To see if we have funding to do both of those options. Did I forget anything, Danny or Senator Wilkin?
I would just add the date we chose for the dinner was April 28th. That's a Thursday after General Assembly.
April
It's like the
28th.
second to
Why
last
do
week.
we feel like there is a powwow that day?
27th.
Okay.
Oh, wait, it would be,
Always on a.
it's actually the 25th that we would look at doing it, the last Thursday of April. No, I think I was looking at another, I don't know, we were looking at the March date.
Okay.
So April 25th. And then the other thing is that, what?
Sorry, continue.
I will say that all that week, NASA has a lineup of things going on, so.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to take that into consideration.
We can definitely. I guess we didn't discuss a secondary date option yet. It would probably have to be early April.
What about a Saturday?
27th? The day of the powwow?
No, a Saturday, the
Okay.
20th or the 4th.
Okay, you want us to come here on a Saturday.
Why not?
This is to go out to the committee.
Yeah.
Oh, you can make a formal motion to have discussion.
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
To suspend Robert's rule.
I second.
Any discussion? Everybody was in favor of suspending Robert Rule for the duration of team development, report adjourned.
6. Meaning 7.
Yeah. That's how much?
It's meaning 7. Not enough.
Anyone online?
Raise your virtual hand.
Senator Brunner,
If people aren't online, it just doesn't matter.
yeah, if we're in,
Yeah, that's been too long.
yeah, I would just carry the motion all the way through any of all those
The
opposed.
motion passed because currently we don't have Senator Abdullah.
So it brings it down.
Yeah, let's bring it down.
Okay, so it's suspense now.
Yeah, it's suspend.
Okay, so the reason why we're looking at it Thursday is because it always seems to go better if we bring everyone and everyone comes in for the meeting that day. And then we just go afterwards. With the events that we've done on Saturdays, and we've only done like 1 or 2, we didn't have nearly as much participation.
Yeah,
So that's why go ahead.
yeah, it's because like, some people live outside and they have to come specifically just for this, you know? And if everybody's already, here on campus on Thursday, you know,
Okay.
then it'd be easier.
Okay, well, I vote for Hibachi.
Hibachi sounds amazing, I'm not gonna lie.
So,
My bad.
what I would suggest is if you're gonna do that, you should try it for the April 18th. Because the new center meeting is gonna be on the 25th. We still have to discuss more in detail.
What do you mean by what is the new senator?
The new center meeting is kind of like an orientation. It presents everyone to the idea the new senator elects, to the idea of what Senate is, the structure. There's some kinds of like team building activity. They get some
Okay.
slight exposure to how a meeting is run by the current senators, and then there's some questions, but it's a thing.
And we have to stick with that date?
That is the date we have to stick with because everything else is
Follow
is
suit,
in.
right.
And yeah, that's why the issue with the public safety training was kind of a thing, because it's like we try and figure out,
Sure.
you know, how to make that work with everything. And so, yeah, that's why we're already, so I would suggest, you know, doing it on the 18th though. I'm saying like, yeah, we would have all the senators, because you're right, you get better turnout when everyone's coming here.
Yep.
I would say go for that. As far as the financials, I just have to pull them from Ellie, and she'll have them pull mine with me, so. And then I can share them with Kai. I know we haven't had a chance to really, do a lot of meeting. If there's a, you know, a grant, I know like, I think next week we definitely meet, I believe, but if you wanted to meet, like, just even for like 20 minutes at some point within that from now until the next time we meet, we could, and then that would kind of I could have
Give
that
the
information
financials.
for
Yeah.
you, something potentially that you could then use for your own team development committee meeting and continue on the process of developing everything, you know,
Okay.
and whatnot. So, yeah, that's,
And then the other thing we need to know is we need to know how many people we have graduating and, I guess we'll add that to the survey to find out who our graduates are, for the fall.
if you need help, you know.
Or unless you have it available.
I know, I don't have that information available, like, I know only of at least one who's definitely graduating. I don't have that, like, I know off the top of my head, I would just have to, actually, I'm in the process right now of Student Life has to go through and look at everyone and mark them if they have special service, which is being part of Senate, among all the things, and so I'm going through and seeing who is graduating. It's a
Okay.
humongous list, and
Well, we
you know,
can,
but I am going through that, and they'll give me some more information as soon as and then I can actually share that with you, because yeah, that's another thing, is, yeah, we always try to do a little bit of a celebration, specifically, and I guess the other reason with the 21st, from thinking about it, the second is the swearing in ceremony. That's another thing that you're gonna be planning, so your team development can actually work on that.
That's what I was thinking.
Food, it's
I
gonna be a
would love
mingling opportunity with the administration and then the whole proceedings of swearing in, you know, so, it kind of separates everything and makes it a little as well, but mainly it's the fact that new ceremony happens, right then, but yeah, if you need help with, if it's more of a technical issue with the survey, just, and if I can provide assistance anyway.
it is a technical issue because I can't figure it out for some reason.
Yeah.
I did it on one, but I can't do it on the other. I don't know why.
I know, I hear you on that. This question.
So I
And the
guess-
Construction, the road course as well.
yeah, and then the ropes course will be in there, and then I think we'll still throw something in there about who might be graduating. Hopefully people will self-identify for us too. That way we can find the information out quicker. I also wanted to let people know, you already know about the powwow on the 27th. I wanted to make sure that people knew that on April 11th, that there's going to be an event at Goodman South from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. That's gonna be with the spoken word artist that is coming, along with other community members. There'll be an opportunity for other people to be involved with that too. And I'm gonna let you guys know right now that I'm actually not gonna be here on the 18th. I am your I don't know, Wisconsin Technical College ambassador or something. I'll be at
Congrats.
training. Thank you very much. I'll be at training, that Thursday and Friday, I think it is.
The whole day? Oh, okay.
And
If I can, you guys know I'll get online if I can. So, but it's up in the Dells.
Wow, have fun at the water park.
You know I live up in the Dells area.
No,
I'm all good on water parks.
What? Senate water park trip, just kidding.
No, I can get you guys 10 passes every day of the week, so let me know. Wait, Cameron, did I forget anything?
I think that's all.
Okay.
You're freedom.
So quick question or suggestion really more, if you just sent that out as a poll, like for next week, and then we can just live in person, anyone that doesn't vote on it next week, we can just be in the agenda, and then we all make the decision there. Instead of, I don't know, it's because it's kind of up in the air now, but like if we just make a set decision, put it on the agenda, and then we get that, and you'll get all your answers.
How about we send it out tonight,
Oh.
and then they have until that date.
Gotcha.
And also, like, if other people have other suggestions as well.
Yeah,
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 I'm about to ask you stuff here in a second as well from all you, but like, and I need the answers fast, so.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, if we get all the answers, bundle them up, put them on, throw it out there, yay, that's a great thing.
Okay, let's go to the report.
yes.
Thank you. Public Relations Committee for Malone.
Thank you, President Michaud. The basic thing in my report is let's just continue to finish it strong this week with promoting the elections and getting as many people to vote in it as we can. We have up until noon on on Friday to get, what?
And remind people that Annette's a write-in.
Yep, we have up till noon on Friday to get that done. In addition, there is the WFG trip coming up here in April. So anybody that wants to attend, please make sure your name is getting out there. So far, the people that we have that are interested are Senator Avila, both of the Brunners. I'm assuming Senator Willis, Senator Kessel, and then myself, VP Brito, VP Crowder, VP Juth, and possibly President Michelle. So.
And President, no?
Now, the only question I have is, what is the agenda? What time?
It's not out yet.
Out there?
We'll be meeting next week to finalize it, so if you want to know, but generally we'll be meeting at 9. We'd probably be leaving right around 7:30 would be my guess, is what the plan was last year for this meeting. And then on that meeting agenda, it's like a recap of the legislative seminar, it's elections, and then it's kind of like a recap of like the entire year about what our priorities are and how we're gonna carry that into next year, because that's our last meeting before the summer. Because everyone goes into finals mode and then we don't meet again until October for the next year. So it's a final wrap-up meeting. It's nice to just meet people one last time, and it's at Mid-State. It's not too far.
Yeah, not too far, just Stevens Point, my house now.
And we can stop by a really good place, so you can get bourbon chicken on the way back, so. That's what we did last time.
I'm not gonna be able to.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Advisor report, Advisor Green.
Yeah, so that is one of them. Yeah, I'm gonna be driving. Yeah, just, and you know who's all coming.
I'll be driving individually if
I know, cause you gotta get back.
If I had it back.
That, yeah. But yeah, so if I leave this task to you to get these names, I'm fine with that.
Yep.
But you gotta get those names as fast as possible within the time frame of about a week on that one. That's an okay one to kind of like not, but it's coming up very fast though. Is there a document that we can have that is like, and this is what I'm thinking, like Excel or something that we use similar to office hours where everybody has access to it, and then you could just go in there, put down your name if you're going to be attending, and then instead of having to just track everyone down sometimes if they get wrong timing, you instead allows them to do it on their own time as well. I mean, is there something like that, or may I suggest maybe thinking about something like that? Again, I'll leave the task to you, just get it done, all right? There's that. So, the other thing is the student success work. So I do need to know that because I have to RSVP on behalf of all of us to the committee. Yeah.
I individually RSVP'd to go there because of other things.
Yeah. Well, then did you put down, when you put down on the thing, you just put down your name, or do you put down?
I'm pretty sure I put down BPA actually.
Okay. No, that's fine. No, that's fine. I just, again, at the staff meeting on Tuesday, it was, we need to get this, this is the one that's a little bit of a higher priority, they need it. So, I need everybody
on there then.
tell me.
Yeah.
And yeah, so if they'll see that, then I'll just.
You can put me on there.
I'll just put you down. It's not gonna.
I don't think it'll be, it's fine.
But I do need to know, I know that I think we got a runner that did respond and said yes. I think Malone responded and said yes, I believe. You don't have to go, that's your decision, but like, again, we could win, and that, kind of cool. Before I move on, you have a question?
I was just gonna mention, okay, so maybe it's the same thing you were just saying, Kai. I'm for sure going to be there. He was nominated.
Who nominated them?
It sounds like multiple people nominated BSU, so BSU got nominated for Outstanding Club, so appreciate everybody thinking about us.
Who nominated Senate? Same here too.
And I think I'm supposed to be there. Do we have to, that's what I wanted
I
to
assume
know.
there's probably.
Do we have to read off what we say? What, the reason why we nominated them now?
I hope not.
How does that work?
So it could change, but they put, down on like a PowerPoint or whatever, and then like your picture.
They make that public.
And then
what we wrote.
they basically do a long spiel of the thing, like, so when I won the Karen Roberts, and then like, I just have to sit there as we're talking about you, and like, it's a little bit weird, and everybody, but, yeah, then everyone they call you up, same with how this one was Senate, with the other recipients, they call you up, and you go up there, they hand you the award, you then get a picture taken, and like right then in the spot, and then you're, kind of move on. But again, who knows, I think that was not fully Payne that did the last time that I was at it. I think now Payne is doing it. You may think that and the committee may decide that there should be a different, maybe like way. I know like, for one thing, they talked about how they were going to change our food, like timing. So instead of doing, I think like this big amount of food at once, they're gonna split it up into two. And since ELT is paying out of their budget for the food, there was a discussion about what to get and how much to get. And so she came to the ELT meeting on Friday and, on Friday, and like, it was just discussed like, oh, we should get this and how much. And I think the budget for the food was $3,000. So, I mean, we throw $3,000 to figure that out. So, and then Ellie approved on, it. So who knows, it may look different than what I'm telling you right now. I expect that it could, but in general, yeah, it's everybody is there sitting in tables. It's a ceremony for sure. And to dress up, look nice. I mean, you don't have to sit with your group. I didn't sit with my group when I didn't sit with Senate. I just sat down. I was like, I'm trying to find a seat because it gets, this is when the college gets to actually go a little crazy for the students on student stuff. Like they treat it as a serious award. And I mean, it's something you should be proud of, and you should look it's a very big deal. So, we'll see, right?
So you don't know though if we have to read off our, like what we said or the person that nominated?
From my memory, there were moderators who talked.
Okay.
No one ever had to actually read it off and be put on that spotlight, And so I know my first comment went a little wrong, so I'll kind of sum it up quick. Actually, yeah, the only other thing is that who's going to, I'm driving out, and you've probably heard this at Brunner's, but I will be driving out to 03 tour in Fort Atkinson, paying this event. I sadly am embarrassed to say was not paying attention and don't remember what the event is, but I everyone, student life is helping. Let's say, hey, who can go out on what days? And I said, heck, I'll go out. I know we have regional outreach committee, and I know, we take the regional stuff very seriously. And if me driving could help in any way, heck, I'll get behind the wheel and get in my Honda Accord, and let's jump in and come with me. So I'm throwing this out there, like, I'm driving. It's gonna be a fun little thing. We'll be there until probably about maybe 3. One of those days is actually a GA, so I gotta come back anyway. That one is the least priority of saying. If you're interested, let me know. I have an Outlook calendar invite already set up with, I know my VP Malone and so Villa are interested, and so I would already add them to that. But yeah, just come with it if you're interested. That really, other than that, we have 175 submissions so far.
Wow.
Ooh, nice.
Which I don't have a specific number say from last year, but I just looked at that. I looked at Ellie and I said, like, what is this in comparison? This is actually pretty good. I feel like she's very impressed by that. So the goal is 200. That's the goal that we're looking for. We're always looking to push better, right? So, but yeah, so far 175, and I've been seeing it even since morning to this afternoon. It's jumping. It's still jumping. So the momentum has not fully just tapped off yet. Good job for everyone that doing all of the work. I know the tabling, the efforts. I mean, the town hall. I saw on the town hall that the papers with the questions that you know, I don't know if you probably haven't gotten a chance to go through them yet, but if anything, they're good artwork, you know, if they just wrote, if people just wrote the names, but it looks like they may have things that actually could be said and we can collect that information. So I'm really happy with all the work that you guys have done, and stepping up, and I'm really proud of you. So that's all I gotta say, and, you know, that's it.
You,
Any
any question?
I just want to, not really a question, more of a comment. I just want to say that I think we should think about ways of doing more creative town halls in the future. I felt like this went over really well, and it was a very social, laid back experience. And it was a little bit easier. I felt like to like socialize as senators too with people, and then become part of the crowd and get people more possibly interested in Senate in the future, I guess is what I would say.
And you really supported other people in it as well.
Yeah.
Like Kevin Miyahara coming by and do spoken word. Nice.
Great.
Yeah, I guess the one other thing I wanted to add is that when it comes to people accepting their nomination, so like there's a lot of incumbents here that are running for things. So like when your nomination comes up, you should accept that right away. My goal would be to get everyone confirmed by Monday so we can get that information to Doug. I don't think that's going to happen, but it doesn't mean we can't try. So I will hound you until you accept it. So all the people online too, you know, if you're running, better respond quickly.
Yeah.
I have-
Keep your phone by you is what, yeah, I would like to get this to Doug, because that's
Right.
that is my number one goal is, Doug said, here's the deadline, I need this by. I wanted to try getting it to Doug.
Yeah.
Because then we're fully in compliance with what we planned for paying for the planning and space, and what we always say that we do for elections. That's the other part is we have.
And at the very least, it would be nice to get the top 5 people in there. So I don't know how to get in contact with Nia, but it seems like she's gonna win since she was the only one for it. So hopefully I'm asking for her email right now. So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Me and President Sherman will be working on it tomorrow.
Nice.
Can't be like that. But yeah, I will be tomorrow. Thank you, Advisor Green. It's more like a comment on the banquet. It's like, I'm in the committee who's gonna,
You are
who's
in the
gonna
committee,
do
yeah.
it. And it's like, that's why I did an RPP, because I was gonna be already there. I'm
And
gonna
I
be
assume
there.
that, yeah, there's gonna be that crossover, right? So, but I think that is all gonna get phased out when they go, oh yeah, we know this person's multiple. I think it's just getting the most accurate of an estimate so that they prepare enough. I mean, you're in the committee. I know that you guys have been just meeting or just had a meeting or.
Yeah, we have a
You know,
meeting
so it's
last Friday, and tomorrow we're gonna have another one.
Yeah. So, I mean, VP Crowder, I mean, perhaps President Shulman may have a slightly better information than I do on like maybe how it is gonna look this year, but.
President.
Thank you. Report from Station and Secondary Student Activity Board, VP Brito.
In our student activity board, we're gonna be approving the budget this week. And one of the things that I emailed about was a simulated patient program that we're gonna be taking a look at. So I emailed the performing arts leadership about how much in their budget was listed out for that specific line item. Because currently there's no students that are being supported by that. And if you want to, like, no student actors being supported by that. In some ways, student actors can show up and watch people like pretend to be hurt and like get that experience. But if they're not being given the opportunity to have that firsthand experience, then I don't really understand why we're funding as much of it as we are. I do think that there's some value in having community outreach for theater. But I don't know if we need to be funding up almost approximately $10,000 worth of that if there's not really a student experience, a direct student experience outcome from that. So I do think that the program should be funding at least a portion of that. I think they should be funding at least half, if not more, for the outcomes that we're getting out of it. I do think it's quite drastic to cut a program like completely when it seems to be boasting some success, especially for the academic programs. But I also think the academic programs should be paying into that because they have no financial stake in it currently, and they should. So if they're gonna keep benefiting from it, then we shouldn't be the only ones paying for it, because obviously it's helping some students. But the amount of students in those classes, I don't think justifies the amount that we're spending on it. And I think even 5,000 sounds like a lot. I think it's quite generous for us to even give $5,000 worth, which is kind of what I'm gonna be proposing tomorrow. So if you think otherwise, let me know, but I just don't like the idea of cutting a program outright, because we were the ones funding it. But I do think there needs to be some conversations about how we can more equitably fund it with the academic program side that's using it.
Maybe Connor.
Can you give them a little bit more of an explanation of what's going on? I'll say this much real quick, because you're probably gonna say it better. But basically, the actors that, for the program, for the acting.
Simulated patient program.
Simulated patient, thank you. They're community members, basically they're specially selected, and no students at all, for the most part, are being selected. They're not even offered the opportunity. And it's a paid job, basically. And why are we paying for something that students don't get to have an opportunity to be part of? So I'm in 100% agreement with VP Burrito. I don't even know how this stuff passed in the past. I mean, and the same with the other thing that VP Burrito mentioned was, why aren't we using past Madison College students to come back and be like the person that's taking care of the lighting and training people? Yes, I understand that there are professionals in the community that have been going and doing it a long time, that are potential resources. But if we looked at our alumni, we probably have some of those too. You know, we can't just be using whoever is friends with who, or who has a connection with who.
Yeah, because currently we're paying like instructors for this, and I do get that there's a value to it. But if they're gonna make the argument that, oh, well, we need to have diversity in it, well, why is there no diversity within the students that they're hiring? You know what I mean? Because like, that's a population that also should get hired, so I don't quite understand it. So I don't think that their argument quite holds water, but I do think that the program does have some potential value. I think you should need some refinement. So we'll slap them with a reduction to it, and then hopefully they'll shape up their act, and it can be something really good. And maybe one day we'll give them their funding back when they, you know, start giving students more opportunities, or at least that's how I see it. I do have a lot of members in agreement with me, so I do think that, you know, if we need to pass by like a margin of 6 people, I think we have those votes. So I do think that'll go through, which depends on how much we want to cut it by. And that'll have to end in discussions tomorrow, so you will see.
Nope. Any other questions for Rio? Okay, thank you. Textbook affiliate committee sitting under Sierra Brunner.
No report.
Thank you.
Next meeting is in a few weeks.
Okay. Regional Outreach and Engagement Committee.
No report. Our next meeting is a week from tomorrow at 12 o'clock.
Thank you. Transportation Analysis Committee currently vacant. Student Parent Support Group. Maybe Connor.
We have not had another meeting. I believe we will have a meeting on the 3rd, but I have not received an email about it yet.
Thank you. Public Safety Advisory Committee is the Castle. Is Castle online now?
Nope.
No. Sarah Wilkins, I see you have your interest. I don't know when it was. Or is it me who just see it? Oh, I'm seeing stuff. Inclusion and belonging coordinators, the Clearwater.
Yeah, so it's real short. Main thing is, I think it was Monday, I had a interview with somebody from the Clarion, to, cover what this position is. What the forward plans are, you know, what would I say we can expect from the person in this position, stuff like that. Additionally, since it's come up with dates around the powwow time, I decided that I wanted to share the screen real quick so I can kind of show y'all some of the stuff that's going on, or I can just send it to everybody. Actually, I'll just send it. It'll be more productive that way. But yeah, there's stuff going on that entire week leading up to the powwow. So if anyone wanted to make any of it, you wouldn't want them to be in conflict with any team development plans or anything. So I'll just go ahead and share that. We have some pretty cool stuff going on. Like we're working with, Alakwa Cox, who is Echo, in the Marvel series. And she's from my tribe. She's been nominated and she's hearing impaired. So with that, you know, some great representation for both tribal community and disabilities in that show. So right now we're kind of like at that last stage of like finalizing it. So like we're trying to really kind of promote it at this point because we don't suspect that there'll be a dropout at this point. But there'll be other things like we're doing a student panel for Indigenous Health and Wellness Day. And I believe there will be 2 of them. There'll be one here at this campus and then at UW as well. So yeah, there's stuff like that. We'll be doing tabling for raffle tickets and such, which I did. I'll just go ahead and show everybody in the messages. And that concludes my report.
Do you wanna tell people not to share the information until it's,
Oh yeah, that probably is.
everything's tentative?
It is best. The Alakwa Cox is definitely tentative. It's just a strong tentative.
I just didn't want people to.
No, you definitely got a good point. That is the only thing that's tentative. Everything else is concrete. But yes, that concludes it. And thank you very much.
Did the volunteer?
Yes, it went live.
Okay, it did. Okay.
It did went live. Did went. Additionally, if you want to volunteer for the powwow, you can always message Katie Ackley.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Sounds good. Sounds good.
Thank you. Report from Regional Uno and Mayfield campuses, Breeze Gregson and Stacy Brunner.
No report.
Thank you. Watertown currently vacant. Portage currently vacant. Fort Atkinson currently vacant. Goodman South currently vacant. Report from College Assembly, Shake Government Council, College Assembly Senator Aaron.
No report.
Thank you. Academic Council currently vacant. Diversity and Community Relationship Council, Peakwater.
So as far as I know, we will have our meeting next week. We have not received an agenda yet. Is there anything you've heard differently, Senator Clearwater?
No, I have not heard anything.
Thank you. We recorded. Maybe we don't have your hand raised.
No, I never raised my hand.
Thank you. Facility Planning and Investment Council, Senator Willis,
She's still absent.
Yeah. I've seen her.
absent. Finance Council, Drew Green.
Yes, our issue statement to work on the drop deadline for tuition, extension for tuition, it has been approved by the College Assembly. So we're now allowed to work on it, and we're working on the issue statement now, and we just kind of gathered information from us, and we're working with people to collaborate with. So obviously, we'll be collaborating with the registrar, Bill Dotery, as well as I forget which office, but Bill Dotery was like a big name that was thrown about, and we'll be connecting other people in there as well. So that was the main thing that we worked on. Otherwise, that concludes my report. Any questions? No questions. Okay.
Thank you. Information and Technology Council, Senator Avila.
I told me, he gave me something here. One, I did connect him with, the reps to the IT council, and they got him in, with the culture, so, and introduced, and it looks like he said that he stopped in for a little bit of today's meeting, but had to leave, needs to do other engagements, but, you know, he'll be checking back in with it next week, but seems excited for it, so that's the report that I was given.
Thank you. Institutional Effective Council, Senator Council, absent. Student Affairs Council currently vacant. Unfinished business, resolution 004, and supplying using financial aid charts, Senator Clearwater.
Yes. All right.
You want me to stop sharing?
Yes. I am going to go share it now. So let's share this. If it wants to, I'll just share it. Entire screen, that's probably good. Share. And did it pull up it? Yes, all right. So, I guess a great place I could start here is, these are some of the notes I figured. A lot of the questions that did get asked today were some of the things that I anticipated that people would want to know about the strategy. So yes, as Ed recommended, we're going to be collecting that enrollment information here. And this information here is going to be necessary for creating this kind of preliminary draft. One of the things that Dan recommended, we kind of talked about it back and forth, is making sure that there's a 3% addition surplus to the average, just to be err on the safe side. I know we talked about, still trying to put pressure on, and from what I heard from everybody earlier, it sounds like maybe it's worthwhile looking at creating another resolution to further expand for like cosmetology and for automotive, just in general, to start covering our bases with students who need to get supplies that are not held here on campus, because ultimately the problem is that school wanted to cut it off from being here on the campus. They just physically did not want to have it. So they, for whatever reasons they removed it. So it created an issue of access for students. And that's what we're trying to address, is that access issue. And I mentioned it to a few people, but ultimately this plan here is to essentially be able to slap a barcode on these things. So that way you can check out at the registers, very similarly to how you go get your textbooks. And if anyone uses MyLab Math, you get those access codes at the register. So this is working within our pre-existing systems to be able to access things in a more effective way, especially from what Dan was talking about earlier. He was referring to the book charge program, which plenty of students I'm sure are familiar with, and through that explanation, I don't need more anything. Some people here are definitely familiar, like I am myself, but as it was explained earlier, this particular program allows students up to 2 weeks before the start of semester to access materials that they'll need. So if you need to get notebooks, pencils, that kind of stuff, anything that's in the bookstore that's non-perishable, generally is considered class material, and they will allow you to go ahead and basically take out an advance on your financial aid, and it'll be deducted from that financial aid. So it's just kind of an early access for students so that they're not scrambling at the last minute. We received an influx in the financial aid inboxes at the start of the fall semester, particularly about these students scrambling. So I think that it will continue to be a thing. I think we'll continue to see that this is going to be an issue. I haven't particularly seen it from the other programs. I'm guessing it's been well established, whatever it is they're doing. But if there's going to be a larger undertaking to this, it's, I think, probably worthwhile to also go to the administration about this. And yeah.
Make a motion to suspend Robert's Rules of Order.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Everybody was in favor of suspending Robert Rules for the duration of the discussion. Raise your hand.
Anyone have a follow-up?
Senator Wilkins, Senator Runners. Okay, there we go.
That works.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do want to highlight in here one of the things that's I have in this paragraph here. The responsibility, we talked about that, and that is something that I have considered for a while. And ultimately, I do believe that the responsibility will fall under the art program to communicate with the bookstore on pre-order. Because it's going to be a relatively simple communication with talking to the bookstore, where you're going to expect to have these cards and everything. And the art department is likely going to need to communicate specifically as well to the arts and craftsmen as well, or like I don't know who the head of the entire art department is, but there's multiple program heads, and I've taken the liberty to start messaging them and start getting this conversation going. But yeah, it'll ultimately be them recording and being and going to the appropriate places. I don't believe financial aid, once this is enacted, will have anything to do with that, other than just keeping track like we normally do with, hey, you've had a subtraction from your book charge.
Do we know like how early the instructors or departments need to put in their book orders? So I wonder if we could try and, you know what I mean, utilize that as the
I'm
deadline.
talking about the adoption list for like
Yeah.
the next
So
upcoming year.
Yep.
I do
Yeah.
have an idea because I actually, because of the DCRC, have helped with creating, reevaluating classes. And there's a deadline that instructors have to reevaluate the classes, so if they want to make any changes to it, or keep it as is, they have to inform the school of it at a certain point. So that is going to be the deadline, is when they would normally put that in. They're going to start including basically an itemized list to whomever it really needs to go to.
Perfect.
So I'm assuming, honestly, thinking about this out loud, it's probably the same people. Anyone that our instructors would pass along their information for their course description is probably who's going to need to receive that itemized list for materials. So that they can go ahead and communicate that with who authorizes out the
Share my screen.
the purchases. Yes.
Can you add that to your list just to make sure? Because you know,
You look,
if
you're
it's
talking
not
about
in
that,
writing, huh?
are you talking about that, the date on that?
I can't see
This
this.
is the
Yeah.
adoption list, which is what you're supposed to have all, exactly what you're talking about, Sarah Clearwater. It's the adoption list because after the textbook referendum and the policy went through, there is a specific protocol on how you have to go about it. And the adoption list basically says, we will give you options on like, because we, as a bookstore, they're a business.
Yeah.
And exactly like what Dan said.
Yep.
That's why it's a little gonna be, that's why what I see, why I see my potential issues is, that is a bookstore within a bookstore, and I've had those conversations with Holly and Bailey where they've talked about issues like, even with my math lab stuff, like, yeah,
There's a lot of.
it's technically simple, but it's been nothing but complicated, right? Like,
Yep.
and so like, and they have their own POS system that they're using in there, and so like, how is that, like, I look at areas that are not gonna be hard at all, but like, you just need, like, now that I've heard this, I'm even more in support of it now, like, it just need to hear that it is doable. And then
Sure.
following by, why haven't you done, like, what, because it's like, yes, I want you to be weary that I don't know what role our department will play past giving you information. I'm just saying this is usually how it goes, the back of the heads. They're trying dropping off of the map on trying to take responsibility of having to actually manage something like that. Because again, that's one responsibility. If you're getting only paid a certain amount of money, you're like, oh, I don't want to take on that extra responsibility without any additional pay. But that's where it's like the bookstore, if you're having a card that's been preloaded with an amount, and then you use it at the Arts and Craftsman or whatever, and you come back, you want to use it at the bookstore again to see how, and then like it takes off the remaining amount, then there has to be some sort of integration thought about in place.
So actually, when it comes to that, what they would need to do is pull off any remaining funds, which would not potentially be something that they would be able to do. That's why we really need that communication from the art department. Because there's card availability, but this will have to be, unless this is going to be a card that can be used anywhere. And we've already talked about that. We do not want to do that because if you get, like, say, one of those vanilla cards or something you get at the Walmart, the student could just very well use it anywhere else and completely negate what it is intended to do. And these students could be very well creating a financial catastrophe for themselves.
Yep.
And then they're stressed out about classes because they did neglect to buy their supplies.
Yeah.
So it has to be something that can only be used there. And then when it comes to the rest of the money, then it can only be used there. I don't think it would be reversible. That is something I could check in with the Arts and Craftsmen, but I would anticipate that is something we should not tried to do.
It's really great to hear all this, but we need to pass it because that's stuff that we can do after this is passed.
Yes.
So let's like, what do we need to do to get this passed? Does everyone agree with it? Does this have the right formatting? That's what I'm.
Can I ask a question quick?
Yeah.
Wilkins.
Do we suspend our rules,
So
right?
the way that
Yeah.
this is written is as a resolution, but you know, we support this and that's our stance, but it should be more something that is enacted. It should be written as a bill, I think, something that stands in the Constitution that doesn't need to be, you know, because we want it to stay in effect for future.
Yes,
like
I
next
agree
year
with
and the
you.
year after.
I do agree with you. It was actually initially drafted as a bill, but since we were doing this more under a stance position, we weren't sure there was enough action on the student senate side for it to be considered a bill. So that's something to be.
I guess my next question then is
Right.
just, do we, if it's written as a resolution, do we have the power to make, like, to put that in effect?
Right, when you said put in effect.
So, okay, this is what I was thinking. The reason why I suggested it didn't become a bill is because you'd have to add language to add it to the bylaws. So bills are needed to add to the bylaws. So I thought it'd be easier to not come up with language for the bylaws because then it just becomes complicated. And then you can make it be an ad hoc committee next year. And I knew that I would work on it. So I didn't think we needed to go through the trouble of adding it to the bylaws. That's personally why I chose not to. But you're right. If you wanted to have more teeth and stick around longer, like to make sure about that, then sure, you could do that. But I figured it was just easier because I knew I was gonna be here next year. So I thought, well, I mean, I know you and I can, you know, always
Yeah.
call you and talk about.
I
what the bill
definitely will be
is.
staying on the project until it's end, regardless of whether or not I'm still attendance at the school.
But yeah, you could make it a bill if you wanted. It's just that takes a little bit more work and I just thought it'd be easier. So that's why
But
I suggested.
You understand, like, the idea of it being a resolution is what, and even the way that Dan spoke about it is exactly what needs to happen in order to put the pressure on college.
Mhm.
By having it be a resolution, we as, and again, I'm speaking as we, so bear with me, we as a student body
Mhm.
agree that this is the stance. And that, you know, like you're saying, you support all students, well, that's the weight of it. The student government is saying that this is an issue. And then that gets taken with the evidence that gets handed over. And that is what you present in the package. That is like, here's an issue. So colleges don't like looking bad. Let's be honest, they don't like looking bad.
Mhm.
They'll do things to not look bad. They'll do things to avoid potential, like, you know, mislight of what the college is trying to do. But they don't always see, and further on, we'll also say the college does support a lot of things, right? But the biggest thing I learned from my predecessor, from the couple of years prior to my time in Senate, was that the college is always thinking about the student perspective. Because they're a business too. They have to want to know, do they put time and resources into something, just like Dan said, like, it's diverting time away, it's potentially creating more hours. Do they want to know if the investment pays off? A few students isn't gonna cut it for them, even though it should, it doesn't cut it for them. It's not, it's a casualty worth losing, casualty worth like just getting rid of and say, no, whatever. But if you have enough stuff to show without any doubt saying, here's all your evidence, then they can't, they just, and so in the way that I help with the resolution, I'm making the stance leading into a bigger picture saying, this is an issue on this resolution for the art supplies, but on a bigger stance with all personal materials, because yes, you have multiple programs that do not allow, that have specific protocols on how you can get the specific stuff you need, but then don't have it there on day one. You're always gonna have students who are not gonna get their stuff until the day the semester starts.
Yeah.
That's on them. But if the student is actually trying, I feel that if we preach and we breathe success, shouldn't the argument be made that then we do everything we can in our power, including trying to find ways to get connections from third-party outside vendors to make sure that on day one, that's the vendor, and I use it language like that because that's what the textbook affordability committee actually uses. On day one, they're set up for success. There was no deterrence right there. So the resolution, Cameron, is that
Pressure.
it's a big stamp of, hey, listen up. A bill is saying that there was action to be taken. And this is one of those times where You have the power to create an advisory committee right now, tonight, if you want to say, I want to look further more into it, which I kind of would suggest maybe that you do if you're trying to go ahead and look and get the information. You can do it without the committee, but again, it adds more weight to it. But besides that, if you're making a bill, it's actually saying that you're doing something. And there was nothing that I know and I see from my standpoint with my knowledge that says we have the actual power to do, but we do have the power to say, as the student voice, that this would be unacceptable. This maybe needs to be looked at. This maybe is not giving access where access should be given. And that is the weight that we can put on and what action on we can take. But you guys have the right, and I mean, again, I'm advising, like, hey, maybe it won't be a bad idea to say, like tonight, if you're gonna vote on this tonight, you have to have unanimous support on it. But if you go ahead, you can go ahead and make an advisory committee, you don't need that. Next week, you can do, like, the 2/3, you can get, like, you can do that vote. So it's like, if we have everyone voting tonight and is all in agreement, do it, go for it, right? I mean, but you know, that's, you get what I'm saying? Like, does everyone get that? Like,
Yep.
Does that answer some, like, provide some, I mean, it wasn't like you were asking a question to somewhat, but I'm like trying to make the difference between why a bill really wouldn't make sense in this like scenario.
It just depends what you want to do. I wanted to make it simple because I thought that you just wanted to get
It can
passed,
always be
so-
accompanied
Yeah.
after we make the resolution.
Oh, yep, it can always happen afterwards. So if
Okay.
you want to make it into
That's
it,
where you
that's why I think it should be resolution.
Something.
Today is about the support. And right now, to get back to everything, currently there stands 2 different drafts of the resolution. My initial draft that I tried to communicate with everybody, and Sean redrafted it, with trying to help with the language of the resolution itself. So today, it would be kind of, because, you would be exposed to both, is what I'm trying to do next here. So can I have the screen back?
Yep.
It's just kind of give you a look over this further, kind of take, what is the terminology when it's just like, you're kind of like approving under preliminary? Forget the word.
Y'all,
Mm,
is that
there's-
provisional?
Provisional, yes, provisional approval of the draft of this here. That's what we're looking at. So this here is the one that I initially drafted up. And I believe the one that's printed out over there is the one that Sean had drafted up. So one of the biggest things here is the whereas versus additional information. Here in mine, it'll say additional context. The conclusion looks like it's rather shorter in Sean's. And I'll go ahead and show that to you now. Here again, this is just kind of an example of some of the ways that it's been played around with. So it looks like we're going to want to continue to work on. Oh, I don't think this is actually completed here. Oh, no, it's just had that weird gap. So as you can see, it does have a significant difference there. Maybe this will be beneficial.
Are you going to post, is it already up inside SharePoint?
Yeah, we're gonna have to make it a little easier to find them. And then, grant the access for editing it. So that way, hopefully next week, I can get the final one drafted with Kai and Sean, because now you're both here on this project. But yeah, ultimately, I was anticipating it being a long-term kind of thing, because honestly, it's been a long term. I've already spoke to Dr. Casper actually over fall, and he actually already wanted to hear from the student senate. So I got pretty much rebounded really quickly on this from administration, because the fact that they just wanted to hear more support from the student governments. As you all know, Dr. Casper really values the student senate, and that's exactly what he told me. He says he values the input of the senate. So
Did you feel like there was any sort of resistance to it, or?
No. He just refused to hear it.
Oh.
So the student senate had heard it. So the language here is hopefully it's everything that we all discussed, hopefully it makes sense when we get this final draft going on. And that's what I kind of wanted to do, is get that preliminary going, although that preliminary was supposed to be last week, so we're off by 1 week in my schedule. That's,
We're really busy with Senate elections. That's why, and then spring break and now all this stuff.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, it's off.
yeah,
it's off, but the only thing I was gonna point out, Sean, is in this draft, there's some stuff in there wording wise that shouldn't be in there.
and
It's showing stuff in there, law enforcement academy, fire protection, technician, associate degree.
oh yeah, I see what you're
On
saying.
this draft, under the
So we-
additional
Yeah,
information section, so that stuff should be out of there because that's not relevant to the rest.
yeah, this one is specifically for the art. That's
Yeah.
great for
I don't-
the wider
I
one.
didn't want to, that's the big thing is I didn't want to take anything away. I wanted to just put it down in the additional information.
I think you took the copy of that old one and
Yeah, it was,
used that as a template, as I'm
The
assuming.
protective services
Yeah,
one,
I'm
so it's
assuming
still
you-
showing protective services in
Is
there.
it?
Oh,
Is
then
it?
yeah.
Yeah, you used that as a template.
I just went ahead and grabbed that.
I just noticed the context
No,
in there, so
that.
just pointing it out.
Yeah, the fire academy doesn't really make sense, even with the wider scope that we were talking about. So thank you for pointing that out. See, this is why I was just like,
Just to
but
make-
hold off on like. the
Just to make
final
sure the
thing.
final version is accurate to what you want it to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't go through the edits yet, but I did see that in there.
Yeah,
I wasn't-
Some people did get a chance to find my original draft, so there was some notes that I did take. VP Malone, VP Brito, and Advisor Green had all weighed in on the original draft, and I did go ahead and do that. And in the original draft, VP Brito helped me like in person talk about it. Advisor Green helped us find how to find more resources easier to navigate the language. So hopefully we can get that to you next week on that. Honestly, I was emotionally incapable of doing anything over the weekend. So that's why this week I'm bringing it all to everybody like this, is just because it's just like there's been a personal problems in my own life where it's kept me from advancing it past this. So I apologize real quick for that. So yeah, I think next week we'll be better off. VP Burrito and I are intending to put some time into restructuring it relatively soon when our schedules align. Anything further right now you want to bring up? Any questions?
So it's next week, we're not going to be voting on it. We're going to see the final resolution.
Yes.
Okay.
So it sounds like I have the support right now, for provisional, which means that I basically today, if we wanted to go to the administration and start saying that there's approval for this type of resolution, that today will allow me to say officially that we want to go forward with this particular item. And that I do think it's important that we do pass it provisionally, because then I can say that to the administration.
I guess one extra, I guess what I'm saying is like, I mean, yeah, I guess make the situation seem more realistic but Senate is realistic and not serious organization as it stands, but next week you'll have
Hopefully.
next week you have the final bill. You'll have the ability then to vote, and even if we don't have everyone voting, you just need to get the majority of that vote, right? So you don't have to have a full unanimous support. You've already brought before the Senate.
Mhm.
They've had a week to look at, discuss while you've been putting the fine tuning bits on it. It's all like you have it ready to go, right? And it can be voted in. That's where when you said you should talk to Dr. Casper, it makes sense that Dr. Casper would do exactly what he did. Why? He's right back to what Shannon said, get the information, get the resolution that says this is what Senate is saying is going on. Without that, no one's gonna listen because they're all immediately gonna go, whoa, we need to make sure that there's actually some stuff here. So you doing preliminary, I guess, if as a Senate, I mean, this is recorded, I mean, feel free, but what I'm saying is if you create, and again, I'm throwing this advisory committee out here because if you really want to take this as a serious step, create an advisory committee, like that actually is going to be looking into this. You can go ahead and do that. It can be, you can define it right now who you want, how you want it to look, the chair, like who's gonna be chairing it. So T, if you want to chair it, you can, that can be defined right now. It can be defined as duration as long as, until you figure out what it means, or indefinitely, all those things. And then so what I'm trying to get at again is the advisory committee, the resolution signed by the president, legislature, it's all like signed off. You walk that over if you want to make, like walk right down administration and say, here you go.
Yes.
Like that is, if like that is bringing the big guns to the battle, right? I guess I'm.
Can I just summarize what you're saying? I feel like you're getting at, I think it looks better on us if we have a document. I think that's what.
It's where, like that's.
I do honestly want that, and I don't anticipate like, me saying to anybody between this week and next week that this is the verdict so far under provisional. Just, if it were to be asked, because I've had conversations going forward, if it were to be asked if, the Senate weighed in, and yes, it's recorded. So I would be able to be like, hey, here in this part of our meeting, you can hear the discussion as pretty unanimous with those in the room. I think it'll give us a lot of weight, and I definitely intend to send the finalized voted on resolution to the administration. Like, I intend to lay it out on the table once it's all finalized. And I do like the idea of an advisory committee, especially because we're going to look at potentially widening the scope of this particular resolution. If we're going to take on automotive and cosmetology as well, I think it's worth putting our collective heads together, because there's a lot of data collection, and reaching out to different program heads like I have, it's sometimes a little directionless, it feels.
Yeah.
So yeah, one of those things where people can just like spitball names back and forth about who do you talk to in the school. It does help a lot. That's why I stepped over at the town hall, was in part to meet with Pat if I could, so I could actually get some approval on the names, because I was waiting way too long for an email response.
Yeah, I got a few questions.
It was less than 24 hours.
Well, what do you think, you'll share the final resolution bill so we can review it? And where will it be posted?
What would a preference be for how I communicate what the draft is, or what's
A
current
shortcut sent out that goes directly to the document.
Yeah, that sounds good.
into legislative documents on the SharePoint?
Wherever,
I would send
As long
an
as it's
email, I would
shortcut.
do two things, to send an email with the shortcut like Annette's doing, and then also put it in the Teams chat.
Yeah, I would wait to put in the LA just at the moment, but yeah, the shortcut, and, make sure that it's being put in the weekly materials as well. So like, Danny, when you go get the GA agenda, and you have to go get it, and you know exactly where that is, well, this will be also in there, so that you'll have all these stuff that you need for the agenda and the GA for that night. So like, yeah, then, since it's gonna be, the agenda's then ready, the day before, as currently right now for multiple weeks. You probably even have this somewhat, like ready to go and looked at the day before ahead of time. You can actually take the time ahead and potentially look at everything and be prepared for this, but officially as of next week, since it's already been brought, if you guys look it over, decide that this look like the finalized version, right, looks good, you can go ahead and like make the motion and put it in the process, right? It's to get those wheels spinning.
And what is your sort of timeline for this? I'm guessing it's gonna roll over to the next senators, so.
It's definitely looking like that. I was hoping to have the Senate's portion in this with the resolution done by the end of the semester.
Okay.
I ultimately wanted to make sure that the Senate had a stance by the end of the semester. That has been my entire goal, because I know that this can be a big process because it involves so many moving parts, and it's going to be something that's going to have to be convinced that it's doable because it exists already, like we've explained today. So, yeah, I'm trying not to bite off too much.
But you should also like do things like, like, write articles about this, like, you should be like, hey, send that, this resolution the other day, like, and go into it, or like, it pass it along, again, that's also pressure, like, if you're trying to like breathe, like, oh my god, it's getting, you know, that's all stuff that helps to get the bottom line, get where you're
I'm
going.
just gonna say one thing. So just to end this all, we have like very less than a minute left. We have to go through the resolution. We'll get it together. We'll send it out early next week. 'Cause I think we're gonna work on it over the weekend, maybe. So we'll do that and we'll get it out to you. Have your ideas ready and we'll discuss it on, we'll send it out by Wednesday and we'll get it, we'll send it out earlier than that. We'll send it again on Wednesday and then we'll discuss it on Thursday and hopefully we can all vote it.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Any other question? Okay, now, new business, non-new business, non-business housekeeping. Senate election update,
177.
177, that's,
People vote just now, because you said 175 before, right?
yeah.
I did.
23 more people.
So they get there.
Let's get it. Yeah, but
Well,
still
200.
more mid,
So,
before noon.
We're
Before
gonna
noon.
show, so like, yeah, at noon that closes, it will no longer be an app working, so,
Who's winning? If I'm winning, I should not get more people to vote, right?
No. We're not gonna say that.
This is the other use of the gavel.
Bob.
No, yeah, so it closes, I expect like, it's gonna be like, you ever seen an episode of West Wing, probably like, like, okay, we gotta figure out, I will be, I've been kind of call it kind of crazy, but I assume everyone really wants those results fast. And I also, because there is protocols, like defer extra days if possible, so we can accept a position, like, it could potentially not happen right away, but I want to try to eliminate all the things that I potentially do on my end, just make sure that it, like, the process, when I see like all this stuff, I'm able to start processing, making sure that I have, reading through all the things, like the writing candidates, like, I can go through it and actually get some, my end as efficiently and as fast as possible. So I can start getting out to all of the, the candidates here. So I've been kind of like just going over some practicing with some pre-data that I've seen over the week. So I do think that I'll probably, I probably will be downstairs during the SAB meeting potentially. I think I'll be probably just attending virtually from downstairs. But I also will be again, the only other person who has access is Ellie. I will be just kind of, because again, new platform switching over. Ellie has some more experience of just like, the way this goes. I have not had a conversation with her yet. I'm like, hey, what's from one person, one minute, I look at her as kind of like someone that mentored me, like, what's the next advice or things I should be looking out for? I think these all things, am I missing anything? And just, again, making sure that everything's going good. So, we'll find, I really do hope that I'm hoping we'll know who the president is, right? And that we'll get that acceptance right away. I'm hoping for all the specific spots where there was no other person, or no other candidate. I'm hoping that the majority, we can get all those spots immediately like pre-approved, so there was stuff to be the elects of, and then, so if you know it, when you know any of the candidates, right? You know any of the candidates and, friends or them, associates of one to an extent, just reach out to them and just be like, hey, you're going to get potentially an email here. You will get an email here if you want.
Do we
Yeah,
have
to look
phone
up.
numbers? Because I think phone number is gonna work better than
I
email.
do have
The phone number? No, I just have Sylvia's email, that's it.
I think I do have
I
Sylvia.
was gonna say, otherwise I can get it.
I do actually probably have
Who
Sylvia
is Sylvia?
from the application, because
Like
like
in the south, yeah.
the application is
You might
good
know her as
point.
your mom.
I guess that would be valid in this instance, right?
I said you might know her mom from the casino up in the Dallas, Alice Cloud.
Oh.
Potentially, I'm not sure, Sean.
You should make her gamble first.
No, but I mean, I always try, I'm not always thinking about calling people just because I always think like, what's an acceptable thing to call somebody about?
That's
And
a
in this
win-win.
instance, should be wonderful.
I don't think so.
So when Clearwater, you brought that up, I go, oh, yeah, hold on a second. And I'm pretty sure that I did put in the application that, a phone number card in there.
Yeah, what do
And I always thought that was weird when I put that in there. I was like,
do you have like an estimate of when the results will come out?
so again, at the latest, Tuesday. That's not what I want, but that's if,
It might just.
it's if we don't hear back from anyone. So like, we can say President Michelle, last year was elected, in multiple categories, and he won at the top of multiple categories. And so we had to reach out to him and be like, hey, bro, which one do you want? Like, and then that really meant that we had to wait and figuring out, do we have any open spots, like who takes on what, so again, that's why by just me throwing this out there, people, reach out to them, just like, guess what? You're gonna get an email, just keep your eyes out from it. I saw Patricio yesterday, for example. I mean, I was like, hey, you're 1%, like, I'm in contact, I'm seeing people, I'm letting them know, like, but besides that, like, I'm pretty sure I do, yeah, I have phone numbers, so I guess like that, this would be an appropriate use of a phone call at that point, so, right, so yeah, I'll be reaching out by any means possible, but it would, I mean, like I said, me and President Michelle, we have a plan to get some donuts tomorrow and some coffee, and then, me at the office, and then I'll go.
You're not invited.
I'm not. I guess what I'm gonna say is that you could potentially actually invite, so if people get a high enough vote threshold for general senators, you can send them messages too. Because if they're the highest of their category and they didn't run for anything else, you can send them a message about general senator. You don't need to wait solely on the president.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
definitely, I mean,
Just saying.
yeah, it's only I think,
Okay, let me-
President Michelle is an extreme case, but like,
He won so much.
And let me explain, this is the way it was last time the election. It's like, if you are in multiple positions and you get voted on all of them, you're at the top, they call you and say, which one, you want. It's like I was a public relation, president and general senator. And when they say that, it's like, I was like, okay, I'm taking the president.
Okay.
Now, what they're gonna do is they're gonna go to the next person who was after me with the PR. And if this person was maybe PR, public development, like, team development and general senator, they were like, which one you want? This is how
Okay.
it's going.
I'm ranking it based on the amount, so like,
Okay.
I hear you can say, maybe Crowder, you did an amazing job, and people don't vote for you, like, never seen so many names of, an Crowder, it blows my mind. But, like, so it's all being based off of the number of votes, right? So if the next person down the list has enough and they're the write-in, then they follow as the next person that's in that succession on that list, right? So, there are some instances though where we already know right away, like we don't need to be waiting, but again, Ellie, that was one thing when I asked Ellie for like, hey, am I missing anything? She's like, yeah, you may have that happen. And so keep in mind that it may be Tuesday, but we don't really want Tuesday if we can avoid it because we need to get the results posted in the Clarion as part of the bylaws. And the way that felt, I mean, if this was a bylaw review committee topic for the summer, then I don't know what is, but because of the way that the dates fell this year, it's been a very, funky way of having like to get it and make it try to sync up. But yeah, I that is the goal here is before Monday. So but yeah, it's all based on who gets the most. So hopefully we might have, we will have a battle royale and, President Michonne, type situation.
Battle Royale.
That's- No, we just have the last announcement now.
Thank you. Call for application for communications agreement. We will until May 2nd. I'm still gonna have it.
We have to keep out there.
Keep asking, nobody wanna do it, but thank you, Advisor Green, for always get the minute done. We really appreciate it. Announcement. Our next meeting will be on Thursday, April 4th, ceremony. Any other announcement? Hold on. Oh, VP Carter.
We are looking at doing the video
Mhm.
next meeting.
Mm.
So just out of curiosity, how many people can be here a little bit after the meeting?
Next
Next
Thursday.
Thursday.
Why do I?
Don't look at yourself, Kyle.
I don't, I'm not gonna raise my hand.
Do you have a virtual assistant, call your assistant?
Check me. Just don't commit right now. If you can't, it's okay.
I'm tentative. I don't know.
Okay.
Tentatively,
Yeah.
yes, tentatively.
I think it would be nice if we had like 5 or 6 people.
Next week will be interesting though, because that is, yeah, I mean, if there's
We
ever
can
a time
record
to do it,
Yeah.
that would be the time, because we're approving that, the budget, the SAP budget. We're having presentation and,
You know what, I'll be
so
there.
Dr. Casper, we're definitely, I'm inviting him on top of Provost being there as our guest. There was another, and Guzman, who's taking over temporarily from Ben's, Monty's position, like just overseeing the overall total amount. So yeah, that
Is there a rule against actually doing it during the meeting?
does not, no, I mean,
There's no rule.
We're already recorded.
So just a thought. I mean, instead of going by a script, why don't we just do super professional and then my tech person can pull out the parts I hope that we want to use.
Oh, like, no, probably have to record it by thing, but PTK Golden Apple.
That's why you're dressed up.
Yeah.
I'll be going down too.
Yeah.
Um,
So is everything good? Okay.
yeah, I think.
Any other announcement? Let me see. Announcement. No. Okay.
We'll put her in.
Yeah, move to adjourn.
We guess that's a second of everything.
Yeah.
Make the motion, is there a second?
I guess that was her second.
Okay, any discussion? I cannot see if anybody on my computer.
Cameron has his hand up. I'm not sure why.
No, what?
he's voting.
Oh,
He's definitely voting.
I don't see it. I don't see it.
My hand is not up.
Oh,
Alright.
yeah.
Maybe we should
Now
do
it should be. Put your hand up.
Yeah.
Put your hands up. And then say that.
Yep.
Why? Why? I didn't make anything. Everybody was in favor of adjourning today's meeting, raise your hand.
Love it.
I see, two hands up, one of those runners.
That's enough.
Thank you. We move to adjourn today's meeting at 6:18.
Hey, I think quickly, just want to say, it's in the chat, the agenda for what's the student success words. I found it.
Nobody.
And after,
Do you nominate anybody? For what?
Golden
Please,
apple.
Last year you did it.
everyone just
with,
fill it out
so
by the end of the,
For Ellie?
yeah, I'll get it filled out.
Did you? No, that's probably somebody else then, no? What?
1 year.
Golden Apple.
The other one.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I didn't remember, like, I didn't receive any email about. Oh. All right.
Hey, you have to run the name present?